So he easily wrote a letter.
Give that to the secretary.
Because they're supposed to have a letter. They do. Yeah. I just didn't have time with everything, so. If we can read this, we should, I didn't ask her, I didn't kind of. Don't worry, Rob. I mean, it's funny. Okay. And then did you get the one? There was like, no, there's no email or that. Oh, really? Anyone the people on the quarantine, they were like.
Yes, that was included.
Like, no. Okay.
So that one's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at the number.
We get going.
I have mitigation. This is now.
You guys are tag team.
Happy to read something.
Oh, that would be
every day.
Oh yeah, I can spread it.
6 o'clock, we can get going. If you want to rise, we'll start it off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully everybody has signed in out at the podium out there. If you have your cell phones here, we ask that you have them turned off so we don't get interrupted. And fire exits are marked. Do we have a roll call?
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil LaForest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr,
Yes.
Steve Imhoff,
Here.
Alan Reese,
here.
Brett Baker,
Here.
Matthew Fabro.
Here. And can we have a motion that the meeting was publicized as required? So moved. And a second? And a roll call vote on that?
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil LaForest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
And can we have a motion to approve last month's minutes and waive the reading of those minutes? These two guys.
Okay.
Take your choice. And a roll call vote on that?
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil LaForest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
And we can go on to old business with Steve.
Mr. Chairman, first old business is UMS Properties on 26 Harrison Road. They're asking for an appeal 2305A and B, requesting a 1-year extension for both of those. There was an A and B, and I'm sorry, did we just do A and B, or did we do 2 separate numbers? Yeah,
We did
A and B. Oh, it is, okay. So A and B, asking for 2 extensions that were previously granted as board. They are looking to do for the silos and for the 433,800 square foot addition. Mr. Ovius is in front, and he can tell you why and what they're looking for.
Yeah. We were here roughly a year ago requesting the variances. We were successful in obtaining them. Nothing has changed in the application. Since your approval, we went to the planning board, we got final site plan approval. We have been working with the DEC over the environmental air permit and the speeds permit. And Plattsburgh is considered a disadvantaged community, so there's all sorts of additional public hearings, et cetera, that need to take place. We finally were declared a complete application, and there's a public hearing scheduled for the 29th of this month. So it literally has taken us a year to get through the DEC process. So we asked for the 1-year extension to allow us to start constructing this year, which will be after the 1-year date of when you originally granted the first variance.
Okay. Does this require a public hearing? No. No. Okay. Just want to double check. Board members have any questions? Basically, a time delay because of bureaucracy. So, anybody want to make a motion? That we grant a motion for your extension? Okay. And show of hands on that. And a roll call vote.
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil LaForest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. The next one is also old business, looking for a 1-year. They're looking to request a 1-year extension is the YMCA on 295 New York Road. They wanted to relocate their facilities, revamp their facilities, and expand onto it for a fitness center, which is not allowed in a neighborhood commercial district.
This one, obviously, we were here roughly a little less than a year. A similar situation, but this one, they actually were in the process of securing funding, which they are now have secured. And it, took a little bit longer than expected to get everything done, but obviously, looking forward to start breaking ground this spring and start this project. So nothing has changed in the application. All the statements are the same. It's just taking longer to get things going. Things were over budget from original estimates, and now we're able to move forward.
Okay. Any board members have any questions on this one?
Has the funding all been secured?
I won't say 100%, but in the 90s, if I was on the board, I believe you put it.
I'm not on board, no. Something close to that.
Yeah, but enough to start construction, yes.
Is there a time of completion after the variance is issued?
It's 1 year. Construction must start within 1 year.
But a completion date,
The completion.
No, just the start date.
just to start?
Just start.
Okay.
I move that we grant the request.
Grant the extension. Okay, show of hands and roll call vote.
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil LaForest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Mark.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Go home.
Old business. Karen, would you like to come? Karen, would you like to come front and center? This is old business. We have a use variance and an area variance. One is Appeal 2324, a request to allow to construct a 26 by 30 structure with structure to house horses, which is not allowed in an R3 district. And Appeal number 2325, area variance, request to a primary structure to be allowed to be placed on a third accessory structure having an accessory square footage of 1,244 in the rear or larger than 100% of principal district. Is not allowed in an R3 district. It's been 3 months since I think we've heard this. Alan probably has some details. I'll kind of remind you guys where this is, where it's located.
Mr. Chairman, just to remind everyone, we are out on Cumberland Head, and this is actually Champlain Park, and on the far side. So we're looking at this parcel right here, but it also includes this single family parcel here too. So this is actually merged with this bigger one, so it's all one parcel. So they have a primary structure. They have 2 accessory structures sitting right here. That's the second part of the variance. There's access from down here, as well as access from their house. This is our park up here. So when you look at the pictures I took, I have 2 pictures from down here looking up the back side of these houses, and then one looking back side over here. I have a picture from up here in the corner looking down this direction, and then I have a picture in front of their house when we get there. So you can see that's the dividing line. This is R3 and this is R4 out here. So not allowed here, allowed out here. So this is an overview. You can tell because there's no snow on the ground. So her 2 temporary or her 2 accessory structures are here. They're looking to place the barn out in this area. So here I am up on our park, looking down towards the lake, down here. Their house sits over here on the right-hand side. Just giving you a overview. Okay, now down at the bottom, I'm looking back up to where I was standing way up here. So these are houses on the left. This tree here is a reference point. So when you see it in the next slide, you'll see it's a little more to the left. There's that same tree. So now these are the houses over on the right-hand side. And this is her house in the front, and I took it this direction because it shows the 2 accessory structures here. This was a drawing that was given to us, her showing where the barn is supposed to be up here. That's her house right here. This is our park, and of course the lake is down here.
You have submitted some new information.
Yeah, because last time we talked about like why there's other uses you would not be able to do, and basically what it came down to is like building houses is not going to be like feasible for someone like me. If I was an investment firm and I had backers, I could develop it and put a bunch of houses, but I'm sorry, I'm not a millionaire. The next option that was given was, oh, you can do in-home daycare. In-home daycare for me, I work for the government. I work from home, and I mean, I have such great benefits to then throw that all away. Like when I did a cost analysis for how many kids I could take in. I'm not a kid person either. Like I went to school for accounting and business. That is where my education lies. So that is not something that I would be able to. I would have to hire out, and then once you start hiring someone for that type, it's you're not gonna get the money back. It would be a very risky endeavor. Like if I went to a board of investors saying, hey, this is the kind of money I need, they would look at the profit margins. They would be so small for such a long period of time. You would start wondering, is this worth it? I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault for not turning that on. There we go.
And then the last one is actually using it for agricultural, like AKA like growing corn or some other type of, crop. And corn right now is the best crop per acreage. I have talked to Drew's because they already do the land that's right over there. I've reached out to them. And so that would be the most logical, but at the end of the day, though, I know that would also affect our community. Crops do usually decrease property values when you find out that there's manure being slung right behind your house, especially, So that was, why I was looking at this other avenue. Like, I didn't want like some of those properties, like, because I would have to remove that cute little tree you guys saw. That's like always been a landmarker. It's an old apple tree. Those are the kind of things that, but if that's what it comes down to for us to be able to use the land in some sort, that's what we'd be feeling that we'd be pushed to do.
Part of the problem is that realizing that you are not a big conglomerate or whatever, but that still is available usage to develop it and actually have a very good return on your investment.
Years to come.
I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying that is part of the overall process that we need to look at. And that is the main thing. You can't realize a reasonable return on the property as it stands. So you got, I believe it's 13 plus acres?
Yeah.
Which could divide up into 13 1-acre lots practically.
Kinda, and then you gotta look at the regulations, how the zoning is here, because I didn't realize that you guys changed zoning. It's like, what, an acre per house now? I know there's some certain regulations that have changed for that. I did look into that, and then on top of it, I would have to add, because sewer is not out there, so then you're looking at that factor, and then there's electricity that still needs to be ran.
Well, definitely, it's not a cheap process to go through, but
No.
it is still a viable opportunity there for somebody to develop those acres.
But if I have it, that's not what's gonna happen, is what I'm saying.
All right. Open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. If you would like to speak to this, it's only about the new information that we have received tonight. We've heard people previously talking about the manure and the urine and things like that, controlling it. So anybody would like to speak to the new information that has come out? And just try to limit to a couple, 3 minutes.
My name is Bill Plumpton. My wife Gina and I have lived at 415 Cumberland Head Road for about 30 years. I would like to address the latest information that Ms. Malone has submitted to the ZBA. At a previous ZBA meeting, a comment was made, know the law. The important thing to remember is that to be granted a use variance, a person has to really be hurt by the zoning regulations and not merely inconvenienced. This is because zoning regulations were adopted to protect everyone from the effect of poor land use. Therefore, an individual's need for a variance must be weighed against the rights and welfare of the whole community. Ms. Malone has applied for a use variance to have horses on a parcel belonging to her The New York State Town Law, section 267-B states that the applicant must satisfy the unnecessary hardship standard by showing that applicable zoning regulations and restrictions have caused unnecessary hardship. In order to satisfy the standard, the applicant shall demonstrate by competent proof all 4 points. The applicant has not met any of the 4 points, which are: 1, reasonable return on her investment. The applicant has presented no proof whatsoever of substantial lack of return. No competent financial evidence has been submitted of the 16 permitted uses allowed for R3 zoning. She refers to only 3, with no competent evidence submitted, none. Number 2, uniqueness. Ms. Bonhomme does not reference point number 2 at all. Number 3, the requested use variance if granted will alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Ms. Bonhomme submitted ultimately growing crops as the only viable option, but it would still upset the community as indicated in prior discussions. To upset the community is not the same as alter the essential character of the neighborhood. It means addressing alteration of the essential character of the neighborhood. Number 4, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. Ms. Bonhomme submitted that she spoke with the town 5 years ago about bringing horses to the property and was told either building a house on the property or attaching the land to a property with a house would allow her horses. She goes on to say, this year she approached the town and was told the same information, but at some point the property lost R4 zoning. Dating back as far as 1999, the property she purchased for her mother for $1 has been and continues to be zoned R3. A map from the 1999 Comprehensive Use Plan clearly shows the property zoned R3. Furthermore, zoning ordinance since 2012 stated in no uncertain terms that farm animals are not allowed in the R3 district. Section 5.10D, page 51 of 2023 Plattsburgh zoning ordinance. Ms. Bonhomme states, had we been informed from the beginning or at any point in the last 5 years that the use variance would be required, we would not have pursued this plan. Blaming the town for being misinformed is no excuse. It's up to applicants for variances to inform themselves, especially since the zoning ordinance is updated and changed periodically. The current ordinance 2023, including zoning district maps, is readily available on the town website and as have been previous ordinances, and Ms. Bonhomme is chargeable with knowing the zoning restrictions on use. None of the 4 points that the applicant must meet have been adequately addressed by Ms. Bonhomme as required by state law. 2 have been completely ignored. Unlike an area variance, this is not a balancing test. If the applicant fails to adequately address any and all 4 of the criteria listed, the ZBA would be acting outside of its very specifically defined authority if it were to approve the proposed use variance. Thank you.
And Steve, I believe we had a new letter that has to be read into the minutes.
We have several. If you want to go through, if you want to go through the public hearing, then we can go to all the ones that were submitted via the emails, because we have some of the other email correspondence too.
Anybody have anything different to add that's?
Yes.
My name is Micheline Houle. I live at 419 Cumberland Head Road. We've lived there for 31 years now, and my husband and I, and we are against this variance, of course, because it directly affects our backyard. And again, we just don't feel that she has met any of the criteria. If it's what's what I'm looking for? Like, the uniqueness of this situation is not unique to anybody. We're all the same. We all pay our taxes. I'm not allowed to have a goat to mow my lawn. She shouldn't be allowed to have a horse. for whatever. The same thing, you know, reiterating what he's saying, that's, I lost my train of thought here. You know, we're all in the R3 district, so essentially I'm not saying anything different than him. I'm just reiterating how we feel, and I don't feel that we're the only ones that feel this way.
Okay, thank you. Anything different from somebody else?
Well, I'm just here to continue to object. And about 2 meetings
Can you state
ago,
your name, please, ma'am?
sorry,
State your
I'm
name,
sorry, Joni Moshel, 439 Cumberland Head Road. A couple of meetings ago when I was here, I had asked about, you know, how are they going to contain the horses? And they said, well, we'll be looking at those pictures with the fence and all this. And then there's also supposed to be a manure
Yes.
process. And I haven't seen anything on that. So those are my different objections besides we catch all the drainage, my neighbor and I. I mean,
So-
it's ponding out there and it's 20 below zero.
Those questions that you asked, and I believe we stated back then, is there's another process. This is just a variance process. There's also the site plan review process. So if they're granted a variance here, then they get to finish their site plan, which then you're all notified about the site plan. That's when what the barn's gonna look like, exactly where it's gonna go, you know, the fencing, that all falls under the site plan process. So yeah,
So
no
that
one's
won't
been
happen.
notified yet because she hasn't got past this yet.
Mickey Gregory, 431 Cumberland Head Road. I objected the last time, and the letter said if we didn't come, it means we approved it, so I'm here saying I object again.
Okay, thank you. One more.
I'm Amy Mountcastle, 13 Genesee Lane. Yeah, our property abuts the land that we're talking about right there. And I want to say that for the last, let's see, 2001 to now 24 years, I've been worried that we'd be getting a housing development behind my backyard. And so I guess I'm just realizing that the R3 suggests that could happen. And I am concerned about that because I think that my property value would be decreased if I had neighbors abutting my backyard, which is not a very big backyard. I was here last time also speaking in favor of this variance being granted because I don't see that the horses being housed there where Karen has suggested they would be is going to impact me or, you know, that section of Genesee Lane very much at all. Certainly not nearly as much as a housing development or a cornfield with chicken manure spread all over it. I can actually smell chicken manure from all over the place. What to say if it's basically in my own backyard. I can't imagine that, I mean, I can imagine that the runoff issues that might occur when you have a lot of chicken manure spread. And when I was looking, I seem to spend a lot of time looking at real estate. But one of the things that my husband and I decided was that we would not want to live in a place surrounded by cornfields or even apple orchards because of the potential of pesticides, you know, that would have to be used to maintain those crops. So the other thing I want to add is, you know, I'm not that familiar with all these processes here, but I do find it a bit strange that an entity like a board would suggest to a property owner the kind of business that they ought to do.
Well, the board doesn't do that. There's a list of activities that are totally
Acceptable.
fine.
Yeah.
And it's only when somebody wants something different is when the board would actually act on that, so that's all that is.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, if someone were to suggest to me that I start a daycare center, I'd be like, what? You know, I would have no ability to do that. So, I mean, I think that what Karen is saying is that she does have experience in horses, that these are for her own sort of private kind of enjoyment, and that she has expertise in that area, as I think, you know, her work history shows. And so I want to go on record as, again, in favor of this variance and concerned about other uses of that property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Clayton Ray. I live at 423 Cumberland Head Road, also abutting the property. And I was here at the previous two meetings to object to the variance, and I would just like to restate that tonight.
All right, thank you. One more person?
Hi, my name is LJ Toth. Sorry for my accent, I'm European. Well, I saw a lot of good that developers did all over Europe. They would take some land empty and develop it. I mean, distract it. So I'm afraid they're going to come here and build 10 or 20 houses, which is more volume, more destruction than one barn. I don't know about life cycle of horses, but better horses than pollution agent orange on a cornfield or something. I'm afraid of chemicals, and I'm more for horses than for 40 humans. I'm not putting them on scale, or who is more valuable, 4 horses or 40 humans, of course. Well, that's my.
All right, thank you. All right, and that's it for people, okay? You want to start reading the record?
Yes, so I got one, Matt has 2, then I have a letter also from Trevor that was given to you guys. Property, and if one of these are you guys that we were trying to write the names down, is it Magali?
They're not here.
Okay, so just making sure. Property owners at 425 Cumberland Head Road in the town of Plattsburgh. Members of the board, we are writing to put on record as the homeowners at 425 Cumberland Head Road, Plattsburgh, New York. We object to the possibility of draining appeal number 2324 and number 2325 that are being brought before the board. The property in question is zoned for residential usage. At the time of the previous hearing on this, we sent a more detailed memo explaining our reason for this. Also, to make clear, the variance requested by Karen Boham relates to property which abuts our property line at 425 Cumberland Head Road. Thanking your efforts in making our area a great place to live. Susan Magali and Michael Magali.
This is another letter addressed to the ZBA. We are writing in reference to appeal number 2324 and appeal number 2325 regarding structures to house horses at 25 Genesee Lane, Plattsburgh, New York. We have concerns regarding runoff from the waste products from horses, specifically feces and urine that would occur in the wet and marshy fields which drain toward the residential housing along Cumberland Head Road. It is our opinion that a horse farm does not belong in a residential area and is not an approved use under the current zoning regulations, Article 3, Section 3.1, Schedule A use regulations. We urge the Zoning Board of Appeals to reject these 2 requests for zoning variance. Sincerely, David and Barbara Kaka. That was what I thought. I just want to get that one.
It took us a while.
And there's 2 pictures with that letter that we will also make as part of the record. I've got another letter here that I'll read. Dear Mr. Imhoff, I'm writing in response to the letter I received dated December 31st, 2024, informing me of the variance request by Karen Bonhomme, 25 Genesee Lane, Plattsburgh, New York. I currently reside at 443 Cumberland Head Road in a home that I purchased in 2012. Over the past 12 years, I have experienced an increase in ponding and subsequent runoff from Ms. Bonhomme's property. As a result of the excessive runoff, I'm having difficulty maintaining grass and preventing soil erosion. I have serious concerns regarding the environmental impact this project will have on my property, adjacent properties in Lake Champlain watershed, appeal number 2324. Whenever large animals are stabled on small parcels of land, their waste, manure bedding are concentrated. Animal waste contains nitrogen, phosphorus, as well as other pathogens. With each rain or snowmelt, these wastes can wash off the land and into the nearest property, creek, pond, wet area, or lake. Overgrazing on small parcels can cause a depletion of ground cover, resulting in erosion and contributing to pollution. Air quality can also be a concern as residents on Cumberland have experienced prevailing south winds. What plan does the applicant have in place to dispose of waste created by the horses, drainage, to subsequent runoff? As stated in Article 5, Section 5.1E, accessory structures, appeal number 2325, I oppose the building of an accessory structure. The property is zoned R3 residential. I understand that property owners have the right to use their property. However, this request by Ms. Bonhomme is above and beyond normal use. I believe that if allowed, this project will be a detriment to the integrity of the neighborhood and can possibly affect the valuation of homes. Therefore, as I am unable to attend the meeting because I'll be out of town, I'm ready to voice my opposition to appeal number 2324 and appeal number 2325. I've enclosed copies of photos that I've taken to show ponding as a result of rain, snowmelt in December 2024. Sincerely yours, Mary Ann Kirby.
The last one is from Trevor Cole for our planning department. We did the sketch plan review as intended to. So this kind of goes into Trevor after we got the new information from the applicant. He writes this letter to Matt in advance of the ZBA morning tomorrow in response to Karen Bohan's letter. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Please see the email below where I was informed in her June 2024 that her project requires variance. This is a result of the typical review process, wherein we met with the applicant to discuss the project, the sketches submitted, then reviewed by all departments. Comments collected at the sketch, comments drafted. It was discovered that the phase of keeping the horses required a variance. Discovering that a project requires a variance, does it comply with zoning after it has been reviewed by codes is not an uncommon and is one of the 6 key reasons for sketch review as outlined on the top of our review letter. Then Trevor goes in, sketch plan review is intended, and this is part of their application. It says, number 1, enable the applicant to inform the planning board of his or her proposals prior to the submission of a formal detailed site plan application. 2, allow the planning board to review the basic site plan concepts and allow the planning board to advise the applicant as to potential problems, concerns, compliances with the town of Plattsburgh ordinance, and allow the planning board to determine information to be required with the formal detailed site plan application. Number 5, allow the planning board and applicant to review the project so as deemed the type of action and procedures followed in accordance with Section 8 provision of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. 6, establish fees and reimburse the cost for proposed project. Additional information that may be relevant to the board or staff. Trevor goes on, we have no record or recollection of a conversation where Ms. Bohan was told, quote, 5 years ago that she could have horses if she built a house on the property. 2, the land has been zoned R3 for decades. We checked today, it's 99 to 2000 when we did our comprehensive review, so that's 24 years it's been R3. There is no recollection or record that the applicant was assured by planning specifically that a use variance would not be necessary. Next one, regardless of the need for a variance for keeping of the horses, the construction of a barn requires site plan by the planning board. That application required the survey and development of a site plan. Last one, the applicant was informed of the need for the variance prior to the completion of the sketch plan review and prior to the planning board action on the sketch plan on June 18, 24. Regards, Trevor. Then he attaches the email that was sent to Karen on June 5th, 24. Hi Karen, I just wanted to give you a heads up about your plan. We met with the codes department yesterday and they identified the need for 2 variances. 1, I was mistaken when I looked at your plan and thought it was located in the R4 district. It is in the R3 district. The keeping of large farm animals, horses, is not permitted in the use of an R3, unrelated to and covenants. 2, an area variance is required for an accessory structure and is greater than 100% of the primary structure, quotation home. Since the project requires variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board will not be able to consider the plan as a sketch requested. You will need to apply for the ZBA for necessary variances. Trevor Cole. So he clarified the letter that was submitted by Mrs. Boham on the actual times, dates, and operations, what was done by the plan.
I believe there was one or two that were actually in favor of it also.
Yes, and those two, was one of them the lady that just spoke? That's why I didn't want to make sure that I didn't say them twice, that's what I was gonna ask.
And Shirley Tedford, I would like to state that as the next door neighbor of Karen at 23 Genesee Lane, I have no objections to either appeal. And there's one from Michelle Rose.
Moshel and Rose, that was, yes, so we did have two in favor of those two.
I am writing today to express my support for Karen appeals number 2324 and 2325 on tonight's meeting agenda. My family and I reside at 21 Genesee Lane, 2 houses down the road from Karen. As being a direct neighbor, my husband and I do not have any concerns regarding the project until I have no direct impact on our property. Based on the proposed location of the structure on Karen's property, I believe there are only 4 or 5 properties that will actually be able to view the horse barn from their yards, all of which have no complaints or reservations to my knowledge about Karen moving forward with this project. From my relations with Karen, I believe that she will be responsible with this project and her horses. We have been assured by Karen that there are no safety concerns and the horses will be properly contained and maintained. I do not believe the barn structure will not detract from the property value of our home, Karen's home, or any other properties in this area. I truly believe my children will enjoy being able to see the horses from our backyard. There is another horse farm adjacent to Champlain Park located off of Onondaga Lane, a few streets over from our home. This project is a much larger scale than what Karen is requesting. To my knowledge, there have been no complaints or issues, and it has not negatively impacted our area. Therefore, I do not see any reason why Karen should be not allowed to continue with her proposed project. Should you have any questions, contact me. Michelle Rose. Anything else? No, okay. Close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Board members have any questions that they would like to ask?
Should we reconfirm the seeker?
Yes. The seeker was done back in September, I believe, and
There have been no changes since then.
no changes, no. All right. If we look at the balancing act, the first part of the balancing act is cannot realize a reasonable return substantiated by competent financial information. I think we fail at that motion right there. So anybody else have any questions or comments? So we're looking at the use variance first, I believe.
Yes.
And that would be to either grant the variance or deny the variance.
I move that we deny the variance.
Okay, we have a second?
I do.
All right, and show of hands on that. Okay. And roll call vote?
Henry Hale,
Yes.
Basil Forrest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
All right.
So the next question would be, do you still want to proceed with the area variance for accessory structure?
Yeah.
So you just ask the board to rescind that application.
Okay, sweet.
We rescind the application then, okay?
You have to do a vote on that or anything?
To accept or rescind it.
Yeah, you're gonna just withdraw the application.
Make the motion to rescind the application.
Yep, I'll make a motion.
Okay, and second?
Second.
Roll call, vote on that?
Henry Hale,
Yes?
Basil Forrest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie Marr.
Yes.
Thanks, Karen.
And I believe the next two that were actually on the schedule are not gonna be on the schedule, right?
Yes,
The,
yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Appeal number 2340, Alice Talon and Ann Ledoux on,
On behalf of,
I'm sorry, on behalf of AES. They have to be postponed, so if you guys were here for that, apologize. Mark Allen was here. He has to go in front of the planning board for a detailed plan or a detailed sketch plan. Next month, he submitted to the city, around the city's submission date's not on ours, so they have to go in front of Trevor and the planning board for the frontage strip on one, I'm sorry, I'm getting too mixed up. These aren't, these are, okay, they are both coming. Sorry,
you're talking about the second one.
yes, the second one, they're looking at taking a 25 strip of land containing a driveway on the 873. That's gonna be postponed till next month because, or, I'm sorry, 2 months. Next month they'll go to the planning board, after the planning board, then it'll come back to this board. The next one also is Susan Ramelli at Firehouse Lane, almost asking for allowed to convey 26 feet on Firehouse Lane to decrease the frontage from 1 to this side yard, reducing it. That also has to go in front of the planning board before it can be heard from the zoning board of appeals. They have to submit for the planning board, then will be heard the next month. So sorry if you guys came out for that. You can talk to Scott Allen. Scott Allen is AES president and CEO that was here earlier. So the next appeal is, I'm gonna totally say your first name wrong. Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Okay, your parents.
The way they spelled it.
Appeal number 2342, 887 Cumberland Head Road, request to be allowed to construct an 8-foot by 12-foot back of the residence, which is too close to the property line. Minimum side yard of the setback is required for an R4 district. Alan's got some details for you guys.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, this is the ferry right down here. So if you come up the Cumberland Head Road, the parcel is right up here. So it's all zoned R4. They actually have a house and a guest house on this side of the road, as well as a cottage on this side of the road. We're gonna be talking about the little guest house on this one. So looking straight down, here's the primary house here, and here, this is the guest house, and they're looking to add a deck on the back of the guest house. You can see the line here, the property line, how it comes back here, but then it actually arches up before it straightens back out again. So you can tell by the ridge of the house, it's kind of skewed a little bit. So when you look at the plot plan and the numbers, you'll see the numbers actually get bigger as it goes down. Well, this is what it looks like today. This is the front of that house. So you can see these trees right over here kind of mark the property line. This is the back of the house. So now you can see there's a little more of a gap here than there was in the front. They're looking to put their deck right back out here, and they're measuring from the property line over to the edge of the deck. So when you look at the plot plan here, you'll see the front of the house was here, back of the house is here, and then the deck is here. That's why you got 2 different numbers there. Sir, all yours. What are you going to explain?
Sure. So obviously we were kind of tied because it's old property and it was, you can see it's very close to the property line.
Pre-existing, non-conforming.
Yeah, so we renovated the actual cottage, sticking to the space that was there for her mother. And we were hoping to put a deck on the back so that she could easily get out. She has some mobility issues, so being able to let her go in and out a little easier and take advantage of the backyard as well.
Previously, there was, in the original structure, a door on the property line side, so it exited right out onto the property, so we moved it to the back for increased privacy for our neighbor. But that does place the door a little bit higher, so she would need extra assistance in getting out. She can't just tumble out.
Any thought about putting a ramp off of that deck or something?
So, yeah, so long term, there is likely a ramp situation right now. This will actually extend out enough that she'll be able to easily step off of the deck.
Okay.
The property has like a slope to it.
Yeah.
Long term, in the front, we'll have to probably come back for a ramp situation.
mean, hopefully we can do it along that side, so it kind of goes towards the front if we do a ramp, so it'll make it a little easier for her.
Right, exactly. So you're basically looking for, what is it, 12 foot?
8 by
8 by
12?
4?
No, but
8 by 10
the
or
variance
Oh.
would be.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
So the minimum side yard is 20 feet, so looking for 2-foot variance.
2-foot variance. We're gonna open the public hearing portion of the meeting right now, and that's anybody out there to raise a hand, we will close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Board members have any other questions or comments that they would like to have answered?
Yeah, is this area zoned differently for side yard total? But it's 50.
Which I couldn't hear.
The total's
50.
50, so we're talking about it's 2-foot variance, but we don't meet the 50.
Yeah, I'd have to be a
Is that
little,
right?
we're 22 feet, I think, on the other side, or 22 feet. So I guess a little more than 2 feet variance.
Two structures not connected together.
Yeah.
So
So
they
it's
got
just
the
an
whole other
accessory
side to the other side.
So 22 feet to the main house.
Right.
Go
So you
behind the
only
main
need 10
house
feet
all the way
from the
over.
accessory building.
That's what,
Well, no, this
70,
is a
80 feet?
primary. There's two
Yeah.
primary
Two primaries.
structures, because this is a living residence, it's not an accessory structure. So you can have multiple, you can have up to 2
Right.
primary residences on the same.
So it's 2-foot variance is what we're going to grant. If somebody would like to make that motion.
I move that we grant the 2-foot variance.
All right, and a second,
Second.
and a show of hands on that. And a roll call vote.
Henry Hill,
Yes.
Basil Forrest,
Yes.
Roger Black,
Yes.
Melanie
So
Mark.
Nicer with the easy ones like that.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Vaso,
Make a motion to adjourn.
there you go.
Alright.
You might get a word in here sooner or later. They kept hogging up all the motions.